Last week, they took a survey of the American people to see how many of you support the president going to World War III in Syria. How high or how low do you think the number was? Thank you for watching the Shikama Live Show. This is Shikama, produced by Boundless Enterprise in association with www.lasvegasnevadadui.com. So they did a survey of the American population to see how many supporters of World War III in Syria there were. It came in at a staggering 9%. That's right, 91% of the Americans are against going to war, and 91% of Americans didn't think that Syria was worth getting our people killed over for absolutely no reason. Furthermore, if you've been listening to me, you know that the struggle in Syria is not even a civil war, because the people of Syria are actually fleeing Syria. So who is President Assad actually fighting? He's fighting an attachment of what you would actually call terrorists that is supported by the United States, Israel, Saudi Arabia, and NATO. That is right. We are already attacking Syria through our little vassals who are terrorists. We have supplied them with arms and chemical weapons, which we then turned around and blamed it on President Assad, saying that President Assad used the chemical weapons, when in fact it was President Obama who used the chemical weapons, trying to blame it on poor President Assad. I know some of you are just so hell-bent that, oh no, President Assad has killed his people, blah, 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 blah. I have told you in several videos now, I've done exclusive interviews, President Assad is not killing his people. President Assad is protecting his people. His people are being killed by a little coalition in the Middle East, a little clandestine coalition, which is operated by the CIA and NATO special forces. Now, the European Union took a vote to see in the United Nations to see who would support President Obama. They all declined except for France. And also no resolution could be made because China and Russia said no, and they are part of the UN Security Council. So it cannot happen. There is no international support. If you recall, some months ago, I reported just the other day that Leon Panetta said he would get authority to launch attacks on foreign countries from an international coalition, to which Congressman Ron Paul said, "What are you talking about? You think that you get permission to launch military engagement from international foreign powers? I would hope that you would get that via the Constitution from the duly elected Congress of the United States." There's some other congressmen that also talked to Mr. Panetta, who just left them flabbergasted because he had also been in Congress himself. That he turns around and says that international law trumps American law, to the point that they would not seek permission from Congress, just left them all just flabbergasted, really. Left me flabbergasted. I wanted to go through the TV and say, "What are you talking about? Come here." Anyway, if Obama starts making speeches, are you going to change your mind about Syria and you'll want to go to Syria. And my second part of this video is, let's say, for instance, for some wild fantasy that we actually get into Syria and World War III. Does that mean then that we are going to reap the benefits and our economy is going to turn around and we're all going to get jobs? No, the answer is no. The answer is that Wall Street and the military-industrial complex will reap 100% of any benefits, any monetary benefits that would stem from the war, because that's what it is all about. The American citizens would actually suffer because the economy would go into a slump. Why? Because during wartime, we go into a recession. We go not to inflation, but to deflation. People gather their resources. And if we go into a big war, resources become scarce. So we can be in an inflationary stagnation or something like that, where prices try to go up, but nobody's working the shop to hand out the thing to begin with. So there you have it. Now, will you acquiesce to Obama's speeches trying to convince you, which is what Secretary Kerry told him that he must do, that he must convince the American population that we have an obligation to go to Syria. Do you feel obligated to go to Syria? And before you answer that, let me ask you, if we bomb Syria, who are we bombing? Who exactly are we helping? Because we're talking about, the theory is that it's a civil war, right? It's countrymen versus countrymen, right? Which it is not. It's a terrorist invading into Syria so that we can get to Iran, which will open up the door for Israel to take control of Iran, right? That's the whole point of this, right? Right? You're not supposed to know this. If you watch CNBC, CNN, Fox, you're not supposed to know this. Israel will then, of course, make headway into Iran to, ultimately attack Iran along with the United States, because that's the ultimate goal, because Iran dared to trade oil in anything other than dollars. But unlike Iraq, Iran isn't so easily toppled like Saddam Hussein, who was a CIA plant to begin with, right? And Iran used to be our ally as well, right? Fox and CNN, they want to make sure you don't revise, you don't go over history and say, oh, actually we were actually allies with Iran for a very long time. But, if you watch the mainstream news, they're not going to tell you all that, right? They don't want to remind you of that little factoid. So who exactly will we be bombing in Syria? So if we dropped a bomb in Syria, would we be helping the population or hurting the population? I'm getting a little bit confused. Obama's going to tell you that we have an obligation to attack in Syria. You have an obligation. It is our duty. They're our allies. No, they're not. I guess they're not, right? They're not our allies. You don't attack your ally, right? We have an obligation to go to Syria. We have an obligation. Okay, so if we have an obligation to go to Syria, should we be dropping bombs there? Or should we be dropping food there? What exactly should we be dropping in Syria? Because if we're going to attack Syria, that means that Syria, the country, has done something to us. Syria, the country, has not done anything to us. Syria, the country, hasn't done anything to anybody. They haven't attacked anybody. And invading force, it's not a whole army, an invading force has penetrated Syria and is attacking the people and the duly elected president. But we're going to go to war against the duly elected president. Why? Because we want to topple President Assad and put in another CIA plant, ladies and gentlemen. This is what you're not supposed to know. And President Obama is going to get in front of you and say, oh, we have an obligation to go. Share this video. Mark my words. Share this video. Keep it safe. Keep this video in your favorites. So in the coming week, because he's going to start immediately, in the coming week, he's going to start making these speeches. I want you to pull up this video and show everybody in the room when he starts making the speeches. Say, look at what this guy said here. He said it a week ago. Look what he said. He's going to get on the news. He's going to get on TV and make all sorts of speeches. We have an obligation to help the people of Syria. But you're going to bomb Syria? How does that work? I have an obligation to help my neighbor's children, so I'm going to go burn their house down. Right, it's common sense, right? That's how you do it. I'm going to go help my neighbor's children by giving the children food, shelter. The Syrian people are fleeing the country. Obviously, it's not a civil war. The people of Syria are fleeing the country. They're going into Turkey, Iran, Jordan, Egypt. They're fleeing the country. That does not smell like a civil war, does it? That smells like they are under attack. That happens in Africa all the time. When an invading force comes into the country, funded by the World Bank, they always leave that out. They say, oh, these African rebels have attacked Kenya. They always leave out the whole point about the World Bank, which is in the United States, funding them and arming them, to destabilize the area. And then all of the Africans who are, farmers and stuff, they all flee the country to go to surrounding countries. So this is happening in Syria. I just did a video talking about we attack the military-industrial complex attacks, make sure that second world and third world countries are the enemy. So, so that they can make their money, right? So here they're trying to make their money. So the people of Syria are fleeing. That is not a civil war. Who fled in the United States when we had our civil war? Nobody fled. Maybe some slaves fled to the north. That's the only people who fled. Some people with some common sense instead of the idiots who actually fought on the side of the South. Either I would have been dead or everybody around me would have been dead during those days. Just as a side note, because I would have been like, first of all, I can't do the whole gardening stuff. No. The whole manual labor. No, that's out. Anyway, I probably wouldn't have been a slave because my family is royalty. We don't have slavery in our ancestry. I'm not trying to brag. It's a sad thing, but that's just one of the lovely facts of my family. But the people of Syria are fleeing. That is not a civil war. That is not the people versus the regime. It's an invading force who's attacked both the people and the regime, and then done such underhanded things as gas the population and then turn around. You have to look at this news. You have to look at this news and say, see, Obama says, let's retrace the steps, right? I will not, in any uncertain terms, enter Syria unless, and this is my line in the sand. He uses weapons of mass destruction, including chemical warfare. So, what happens? Chemical warfare. Oh my God. Oh, I have to go to war in Syria because he used chemical warfare. CNN. Oh, President Assad unleashed chemical warfare. Where did he get it? When did he get it? How did he manufacture it? Oh, because satellite images says there's no such thing in this country. Oh, wow. How'd that happen? Anyway, President Obama is going to get on the horn and try and convince you we have an obligation to go to Syria. The people of Syria need to be bombed. The women and children in Syria need to be bombed. I've already been doing it with my drones because I'm helping. I'm laughing because of the idiocy that some people believe all this crap. He's already been bombing the people. He's already been killing Syrians. This is your president that you love so much. You deserve him. Anybody that voted for him, you deserve him. And for those of you who didn't vote for him, why didn't you get two people to go to the voting booth with you? Shame on you too. I voted for whatever libertarian candidate I could find. If it said libertarian by their name, I voted for them. And no, it is not throwing away your vote. Throwing away your vote is voting for somebody that you do not believe in any shape, form, or fashion. If there are 20 presidential candidates from various parties, and you vote for the Green Party candidate, that's not throwing away your vote. You are voting. That's the whole point of it. This two-party system is really some archaic, tragic stuff, right? So we're in the 11th hour now. You know, he's going to turn and try and get you all to support him. And even worse, he's going to then save this video, share this video with people. Here's another prediction. He's going to get CNN, and I said 9%, right? 9%. 91% against. He's going to get on, he's going to have the good people of ABC, CBS, CNN, and Fox. Oh, you don't think Fox is in the mix, right? You think Fox is all by themselves over in left field just for conservatives. They are the mainstream media. He's going to get the good people over in the mainstream media in a day or two to tell you, oh, there's been a tremendous shift. There's been a tremendous shift. It's up to 30% in favor of Obama. Oh, there's been a tremendous shift. It's up to 45%. Oh, it's been a tremendous shift. It's up to 60%. They're going to lie to you. Point blank, they're going to lie. It's an impossibility that 91% of the country would be completely against. Do you want to know the congressional approval rate? 13%. 13%. So, if you then hear them saying, Obama now has 60% of the country in favor of going to Syria, it's a lie. It's a bald-faced lie. So, I mean, you make sure when they come try and survey you, you say absolutely not. He is horrible. I would never go to Syria. I wouldn't send my son to Syria. I wouldn't send my daughter to Syria. And I wouldn't wish my enemy around the corner who blasts music, I wouldn't wish them to go to Syria. You make sure in no uncertain terms. Now, so if you go to Syria and it turns into a world war, are you going to send your children to Syria? That's a question. They're going to say, oh, you're fighting for democracy. You're not fighting for democracy, sir, ma'am. You're not fighting for anything. They're not fighting for anything. They're fighting to get to Iran. That is the end game for them. Are you going to send your son or daughter there? Are you going to, that whole, what is it? Registering for the Selective Service. That is unconstitutional on its face by itself, right? We are free people. We're not obligated people. Being born in the United States doesn't give you an obligation. They might collect duties for a military. Understand, I said duties. I didn't say taxes, because that's against the Constitution itself too. Yeah, I know they amended it, but the whole point of it was that that we would never tax the people. That was the whole point of the Constitution. I know they taught you that in public school, right? They taught you that little tidbit that taxes were completely hated by the colonists, completely hated. Not even like remotely enjoyed. But duties were okay. That's fine for a military. Yeah, paying some money for a military, that's fine. But that doesn't mean you have to go into the military. Paying for it ostensibly through some indirect mean, which is what you would do in a duty if you were in that market to buy whatever was charged duties. You don't have to send your son. That's the whole point of being American, was that we are free, and we're free from some tyrannical person who says, I am going to declare war on people. You send your kinsmen over to die for my proclivities. War was always a noble game, meaning the nobility engaged in it. The peasants just happened to get into in the crossfire. And that's how it's always been, and that's how it always will be. So, in modern terms, we're going to say the rich declare war on each other over stuff that they want from each other. The working class do not declare war. Has Tyrone around the corner declared war on Syria lately? I don't think he has. But Obama's trying to, right? He's trying to go to war. Obama, the rich guy who's worth, what is he worth now? 250 million, 300 million now? He entered office being worth a total of 2 million? The net worth, 2 million when he entered office. Now he's up to 300 million. How'd that happen? That must be some good saving and investing that he did, right? Anyway, sorry to make this so long, but there are the questions. There are my predictions. What do you think? Are you going to side with Obama, or are you going to side with the rational thinking people who know what is going on? I think this is it. This is where the rubber meets the road. What are you going to do? Thank you for watching the Chicago Live Show.